Welcome back to the Driveway Beers podcast with Mike and Alex. As always, we appreciate you listening. Please rate us on all the podcast platforms. Like, subscribe, comment, share wherever else you're listening, and enjoy the show. All right, welcome back to another episode. We appreciate you coming back. As always, please like, subscribe, comment, and share wherever you listen on. We want to thank Adam Chubbuck with Douglas Realty, TechMD.com, Team Alpha Charlie. We say this quite a bit, but if you are looking for a quality real estate agent that is very personable and makes a personal connection with everyone he interacts with, you'll want to at least contact Adam. At least let him take you through his process as far as buying or selling a home. He's very thorough with his clients, especially his buyers, because he knows the real estate market really well, and he's going to be able to see some things in a home that you as a buyer, especially if you're not an experienced buyer, are going to be able. He'll be able to see things that you won't, and he's more of a guide through the buying process than just someone who is going to get you in the door and look at the house. And you know, I like to equate it to he's walking through the house like a buyer, just like you, rather than just opening the door and letting you walk through, which is what all the real estate agents can do. So if you want that kind of personal experience and professionalism, give Adam a call. Go to his website, TechMD.com, Team Alpha Charlie with Douglas Realty. Now, I want to talk about something. It's a hot button issue. And there's going to be sides to all of this, whether you're pro-Israel, pro-Palestinian, whether you think you're pro-Palestine, even though Palestine never existed, pro or anti-Zionist, anti-Israel. Everyone's got a side on this thing. More and more in the news, though, we've been seeing about these protests on college campuses. And, I mean, it's Columbia, NYU, Princeton, University of Texas in Austin. It's like everything outside of the SEC, there's probably a protest in almost every single state.
Yeah, it's the usual suspects.
I mean, even like I think one of the colleges, I think the Utah Utes had one, for crying out loud.
And then I think there was one at Mason or GW.
So. I mean, there's definitely a few in this area, but and there's probably a lot of them that aren't getting the publicity because there's varying tactics to all of this, right? There's varying levels of interfering with others. There's the let's sit in a circle crowd with our signs, and then there's let's sit in a circle with our signs for 8 hours a day, and in another 8 hours we're going to yell at people really loudly, and then there's another group for 8 hours they're gonna get in people's faces and prevent them from walking around campus, and there's varying degrees to all of this.
Mm-hmm. And then there's also varying responses too. So some, like I think it was a couple days ago, LAPD went and the University Police at UCLA went and broke one up.
Yeah.
And then, so there's that stuff going on. So, and then some places it's just a free, like no one's checking it. It's just, whatever. So of course, when you have, police all heavied up in riot gear, that's going to attract cameras and attention, and it's like bug lights for morons. Like they're all going to show up.
Yeah, the reason why it's strange to me how varied all of this is, from the protest itself to the responses to the protest. There's nothing universal about it. That it doesn't seem, and I'm wondering if that's by design. I'm wondering if, and don't get me wrong, I think a lot of this was put in place. The wheels were put in motion, I'd say, close to 10 years ago. Not necessarily for this particular cause, but I just think for causes in general, very liberal causes, sympathetic causes. Although, to be honest with you, I think 5-10 years ago, a liberal cause wasn't for Palestinian people. The Democrat Party was fairly pro-Israel.
Right. So it's weird how it's kind of everything just kind of shifts around, and it's almost like, because just prior to October 7th of last year, you heard a lot about anti-Jewish hate, all this hate, and there were ads about it. There was, then all of a sudden this happens, and it's like the people who were, your usual suspects for calling everything hate speech and hate this and hate that. Generally, that's on the left. So, but now the left is kind of fractured between which one do we support, and I think it's a very interesting, split there. It's kind of fracturing that your typical protesters versus your, let's categorize everything as hate speech and try to push that agenda. So I don't. It's hard to really make any sense of it without digging deeper into it.
Yeah, and I think there's a three-headed monster here. One, you've got the professors on these college campuses. They're essentially allowed, once they get a professorship or a teaching job there, once they get to a certain point, they can create their own courses that the college will offer, right? And this is when their biases come into play, and this is where like the gender studies come into play, and the stuff that's kind of more nonsensical. Like, that's like, what are we going to school for this for?
Yep, and that's where all the all of the implicit bias stuff and all came out of that. And I think you'd be a fool to deny that there are implicit biases. However, to go and scientifically prove it, you can't prove it mathematically.
Right.
It's something like, oh, well, this is the theory, but unfortunately the theory has become, oh, no, this is fact. And they're applying it to huge swaths of people across, if you're of this race and gender, these are your implicit biases. Well, it doesn't take into account where you're from and all this other stuff. So, but yeah, that's one of the products of that. Some professor gets to a certain point and can kind of make up their own shit.
Well, and I guess my point is that the professor themselves gets to push their agenda through the class, which gets to influence young people. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about this before. Young people are very, can be influenced quite easily.
Well,
right?
it's like the whole thing, like kids are stupid.
Well,
and I don't want to say they're stupid, but like they don't have the experience to go and be like, yeah, that kind of bullshit.
Well, but so they're at a new place, and they want to belong. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like a kid in an elementary school, right? Like, they're going to believe whatever you tell them because they want to belong and believe with everyone else. I mean, it's one of the reasons why Santa Claus is so effective.
Yeah.
Right? Well, now you've got an 18-year-old kid away from home, wants to belong to. They're looking for something to belong to, right? Mm-hmm. They go to this class, and 8 people believe this, and they want to be part of that crowd. So they're going to believe it, even though they really don't believe it. But they're going to convince themselves that's the right thing. But it's also like, for example, that scene in Good Will Hunting in the bar, right? When Matt Damon's hitting on Minnie Driver, right? And the guy with the ponytail thinks he's going to outsmart Matt Damon, right? And the guy speaks about some economics, like Milton Friedman or something like that. And Matt Damon goes, yeah, and next year you're going to come here talking about this other guy because you'll learn him in your 4th year. And you're going to think that's right, right? These kids go to college, they learn one thing, and they think it's gospel. So then they go try and preach it to everyone else. And if anyone else who isn't smart enough just kind of nods their head and smiles and thinks that's what it is, right? Mm-hmm. But they're convinced that thing that they've been taught is correct. Because why would a college professor not be correct? I'm here to learn. This is a higher educational institution.
I'm paying this guy $70,000 a year.
Yeah.
My mom and dad wouldn't pay $70,000 a year for some guy that's full of shit.
Right. And because like I want to belong and I want to feel like I'm getting an education. I want to feel smart. I'm going to say these things as if they're fact.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, now you've got a teacher who can push whatever biases and whatever narrative they want to push. They now get a paid audience.
Yeah.
Every semester, 2 to 3 times a week. And they're probably running that class. They probably got to give it 2-3 times in a day. And so, I mean, you're in front of these kids probably 3 times a week in front of 3 classes of 20 to 30 kids at a minimum. That's 90 kids a semester you get to influence.
Mm-hmm.
And what you see at these protests, you see the professors out there. You know, imagine if the professors banded together, right? So now you've got the implicit bias person. You've got the guy teaching the TV class, right? Because that's a class too, right? But they all get together and they're all pushing. They all kind of sprinkle in some of the same agenda.
And they're all trained by. They were all brought up just like these college kids are getting brought up,
right?
Through someone who has this particular mindset.
So now you've got these kids influenced. Okay. The professors are kind of leading them. Tell you should take charge. You should go and fight what you believe in. And they're even going to fight with you. So now you got the kids. You got the professors there. But there's also another element. And some of the people that have been arrested don't go to college at these colleges. They're not college age. Mm-hmm. They're not enrolled in the college. They're almost like roving ghosts. They've got names and whatnot. But why is that person on this college campus? And why are they the one kind of riling up the kids to agitate?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's where you get a professional agitator.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying, like, it's almost like when this college protest gets broken up, the next one becomes more agitated. When that one gets broken up, it's like the moving... Like you've got to follow the bouncing ball. Mm-hmm. But they're always going to keep one agitating and in the news.
Yeah.
Just to see what's going to happen. Because like at Cornell, the campus police and the police don't do anything. Well, what happens? You get Billy Joe Bob that's going to try and walk through the campus. Well, the guy with the keffiyeh on is going to try and stop him.
Yeah. And
now there's a confrontation. But of course, they video everything because if you touch one of them, they're going to sue you.
There was a great video. It's so Georgia State, I think it's Georgia State Police or Georgia State Patrol. There's this dude. This guy's not big. He's not like massive, but he's like the trooper's like the dude's jacked. And he picks up this, like he's trying to escort this guy off. He's under arrest, and the guy just falls down like, "You're hurting me, you're hurting me." And then this trooper just picks this dude up and carries him like he's a sack of shit, which. He kind of is, and the guy's screaming the whole time. Meanwhile, the trooper's just walking along. Like,
well, then there was another one where like one of the lady professors was just being belligerent, and they literally just put her on the ground, put her hands behind her back, handcuffed her, and put her in the car. Meanwhile, she's trying, "I'm a professor. I'm a professor. You can't do this. Why not?"
Yeah.
I hope you didn't like being employed.
Right. Well, none of them get fired. There's no ramifications for it. Look at the lady that was in charge of Harvard.
Right.
I think it was Harvard. She gets
president of Harvard.
Yeah, she's caught plagiarizing, and she's just not the president anymore.
Right,
but she still makes $200,000 a year, whatever it is.
She still works for Harvard. Yeah, she just got demoted.
Yeah, probably to an easier position,
and she probably got a golden parachute.
Yeah, like you're not the president, but we're still going to pay you, and your job is a lot easier now.
Right, and we'll pay you this amount of money to shut the fuck up and go do it.
Yeah,
we're going to pay you a couple million to go away, but we'll keep you employed so you keep your health benefits. And you're going to sign this. You're going to sign this. An NDA or a hush. Here's your hush money. Speaking of which, we're gonna and you can't say shit.
Yeah.
And if you do, we'll fire you and you'll have done something.
Yeah.
But and I find it odd. And we talked. I can't believe how accurate we were in the beginning of 2020. Like when we did one of our first shows in January. We said this shit was going to get wild in 2024 before this election.
I thought it was going to be a high-profile police-related incident, and there's still time for that. But this one, I don't see how it benefits anyone directly. It doesn't seem to benefit one side over the other.
That is true, because it definitely puts the politicians in a bind, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got, don't get me wrong, like, a lot of the young kids are anti-Israel, or even they call them anti-Zionists. I don't, fuck if I know what that even means. What, you want to talk about going into another land? Is that Zionistic? I don't even know what that, going to the land of Zion? I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I think it all came out of England in like the 1800s is when all that started, and then continued. I don't know the history of it.
Yeah. Well, then they try and qualify it. I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm anti-Zionist.
Yeah.
The fuck? It's like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about?
So, I think you definitely not right, wrong, or indifferent. You can disagree with the actions of the Israeli government and not be anti-Semitic.
Yeah, but it's like they don't recognize that a group of people causes terror to another group of people. Mm-hmm. Like, it's one of those things, like, if you poke a bear and the bear retaliates, you don't get to determine the level to which the bear retaliates. If you poke it and it kills you, that's your fault. Mm-hmm. You poked it.
Yeah.
And these, I love when these people say, well, the retaliation wasn't proportional. The fuck does that mean? This is fucking war. You killed fucking people. When you parachute into a place and shoot some people up, mm-hmm. you then don't get to determine how the people that represent those people come back at you.
Right, and the thing is, this is a reasonably expected outcome.
Right.
So, if you parachuted in and flew in on little paragliders and all kinds, like, clearly coordinated and trained, like, flying those things in formation and landing, and then, I mean, they trained up. They knew what they were doing. It wasn't like a bunch of random guys got together and said, hey, let's go throw rocks at an Israeli tank. Mm-hmm. And then the Israeli army goes and levels Gaza. That's not what happened. But this is a reasonably expected outcome. Some would say that this is the desired outcome. Because there are people out there that are going to paint the picture of making the Israeli government look very, very bad. Depending on how you want to go and who you believe and how you want to slice it, you can, and they do it all the time, you can show them in the worst possible light and make them look like they're just raising civilian neighborhoods.
Well, the buzzword is genocide right now.
Yeah.
It's a Palestinian genocide. Mm-hmm. Except it's not.
Right, and the other thing is, in Israel, there are Palestinian Israeli citizens of Palestinian descent. They're allowed to hold office. They have all the same rights as everybody else in the country. It's the only functioning democracy in the Middle East.
I saw the number of Palestinians in Israel from 1948, I believe is when it was established, to today. Mm-hmm. If Israel was committing genocide of Palestinians in Israel, would you think the number went up or down?
Right.
Down.
It should have gone down.
Should have gone down.
Unless they don't know the definition of, or they're doing it wrong.
Apparently they're the worst genociders around.
Right.
Because the Palestinian population inside of Israel that are Israeli citizens has gone up 100-fold.
Yeah.
I believe it's over 2 million. It's almost, I believe, a quarter of the population. Mm-hmm. So, and by the way, none of the Palestinians that are Israeli citizens have been targeted. Zero have been shot and killed, by the way.
That would be the first people you'd think they... Yeah. Because if you did it the way during the last big genocide occurred, you gather up all of those people and put them in a ghetto somewhere, and then you would enact their final solution. That's how it happened last time. That would have been, I imagine, the first step. But they're still doing thing. Like, no, their rights haven't been infringed upon. They're still...
Yeah, they're still living freely in Israel.
Yeah.
There's no restriction whatsoever. They still go to jobs. They're still serving in parliament. They're still... Literally nothing has changed for them. I mean, it's not like... Right, it's not like they took them all and put them in a camp. I mean, shoot, the U.S. did that with the Japanese during World War II.
Right.
Didn't shoot them, though, so good for them.
Right.
And that's another thing. Like, I can be critical of the U.S. government, right? Because it's done some shitty things. I can also be critical of the Israeli government, right? I don't think this is a situation where I'm going to be critical of the Israeli government. Do I like everything they've done? No. But they've offered ceasefires, which, I mean, don't get me wrong. When you're on the losing side of something, the terms offered to you are not going to be great.
Right, you're not bargaining from the position of power.
Right, you're arguing from the position of, I don't want to die.
Right.
And hey, maybe I also don't, if I cared about the other people that are here with me, maybe I don't want them to die. So maybe I should take some of this, shit sandwich, which, by the way, wouldn't have occurred if we hadn't done this latest act, right?
Like this, the shit sandwich is getting into your belly one way or the other. You can either sit down and eat it, or it's going to get shoved down or up one of your orifices. Like, that's how it's getting in there. So how do you want it?
Well, never mind the fact. I mean, we always say this, choices have consequences. Gaza sits, it is a coastal territory. They could have turned that into a vacation oasis.
Oh, yeah.
Like, beauty on the beach. They could have been welcoming. You know how many Jewish people would have gone to Gaza?
Oh, yeah.
Because think about it, the last 20 to 30 years of decisions have plagued that area forever. When look, I get it. You don't like what happened, but it happened. You're not from the position of power. They're never going to win the land of Israel back. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. In fact, they never had to begin with.
Right.
We keep saying this. There was never a state of Palestine. It just throughout all of history.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, go back to BC shit. Never been Palestine.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't King David of Palestine.
No, but the Palestinian people live there though, and they still fucking do.
Right.
They just are citizens of Israel right now, and there's more of them.
And throughout that entire period of written history, how many different empires have controlled that region? It's been the Egyptians, it's been the Romans, it's been I'm sure Alexander the Great had part of it. Then the British Empire, like all of these different
Persians had. I mean,
so many. What is it? The Turks. The Ottoman Turks had it. Like, it's been contested and won and lost by many different empires and powers since the beginning of recorded history. So, and there are probably people who the Palestinians are just their Palestinian ancestors, whoever they're descendants of, there throughout the entire time, as there were also Jews there throughout the entire time.
It wasn't like they exterminated Palestinians from the territory.
Right.
There was no such proclamation made. But beside the fact, even I guess going back to the protests, though, I know we're kind of switching gears back. I don't understand what these protests are going to accomplish. They all say, well, we want the university. And this seems to be another weird thing. The demand seems to be the same across the board. Like, the same demand at University of Texas is the same one at NYU.
Don't they want the university to renounce Israel?
They want them to divest from Israeli investments. So all of these universities have endowments, right? And all the endowments
these endowments are freaking stupid huge.
Correct. Harvard being the biggest.
Yeah.
The Ivy Leagues are the biggest.
Yeah. I think we talked about this before, where these endowments are so big that there is no need for them to charge tuition.
Correct.
Everyone could go to school there for free, and they never touched the principle of the endowment.
Correct. They want the endowments to divest from Israel, basically. The problem with that is you'd also have to divest from the United States. Mm-hmm. Now, the latest thing was because, and this is, we're recording this on May 9th. We'll put it out on May, whatever next Tuesday is.
14th, I think.
Yeah. Factual podcast.
Yeah.
Good with math.
Yeah. And calendars.
Yeah. Really good with calendars. I guess today or yesterday they invaded Rafah, which was the last stronghold for the Hamas people, whatever you want to call them. Apparently Biden gave a stern warning to Netanyahu that he shouldn't do it, and he did it anyway. Because for him, it's different, right? His people are getting attacked. Over and over, throughout this guy's entire lifetime, they've tried to offer peace to Palestinian people. And it's never worked. And, you know, for him, this might be his legacy. And he could get flamed for it. And his legacy might be he was the asshole that did it. However, if his legacy is also, but we've had peace for 50 years because of it. Yeah, it's a torn legacy, but you know, maybe that's the game he's willing to play. Mm-hmm. You know, you really don't know the motivations of someone. And then you've also got the conspiracy theorists that say, well, you know, Hamas was really created by Mossad anyway. Okay, well, the Mujahideen was created by the U.S. and we still bombed the fuck out of them.
The Mujahideen is what led to the Taliban.
Yeah, useful until they're not.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, supposedly Hamas was the part they funded Hamas to weaken the PLO, and then it's like, oh crap, like now this is like really bad because Hamas, like it wasn't supposed to take off like this and it did, and they got even more militant and conservative. And you know what? The way these governments operate, I 100% feel that that's possible and probably happened. But again, regardless of how the organization was formed, they still poked the bear. And, you know, people are like, oh, fuck around and find out. Well, they did.
Mm-hmm. Right, and but they convinced these young kids that it was something worth fighting for.
Well, but I think these young kids, I think they live such vapid lives anyway.
Oh, sure.
That they'll go and I really put a lot of stock in this. We live in such a period of relative comfort and safety, the most comfortable and the safest ever was. If you go back even 100 years ago, there were existential threats to the United States. There were existential threats. There were people who, within the wealthiest nations in the world, where starving to death was a realistic possibility. You know, where that was something that happened. Like, dying of some now curable disease was something that was very possible. So now there are no real existential threats. There is no adventure. So this is their form of adventure. You know, where before all these kids would have been drafted and go to fight in some war somewhere, or gone on some grand adventure, taming the Wild West, or doing, you know, getting lost with some expedition somewhere. Like there was, or just struggling to survive. They don't have that anymore. So this is the closest thing they're going to get, is going and protesting something that they don't. I think they say, oh, none of them understand it. I think some of them understand it. Some of them don't. I've seen interviews where they're like, what are we here for?
Right. That's what gets me.
Yeah. The funniest ones are like the queers for Palestine. Like, do you know what that...
I can't wrap my head around that shit. I'm sorry. I just
like the they-thems that are out there with the Palestinian flags. Like, do you understand what people of that persuasion would do? Like, it's written in their law to throw you off a roof.
It's funny. If you ask them which party they vote for, oh, we vote for Democrats. because they believe that trans rights are human rights. Okay, and why won't you vote for Republicans? Because Republicans hate us, and they don't want us to exist. Pro-Palestine.
Yeah.
Hey, motherfucker. I hate to tell you something. If you think Republicans don't like you, Hamas really doesn't like you.
Yeah.
Like, stone you.
Yeah.
Don't like you. Like, you try living over there in that Muslim country, any Muslim country,
yeah.
and you go wave that pride flag you got. Have fun with that.
Right. Try protesting something that the government supports.
Right. Go. How about you go do a white girl? Why don't you go to Saudi Arabia and protest women's rights over there?
Yeah. Go to Riyadh.
How well that goes.
Yeah.
Or Iran.
Yeah.
Or any of those other countries.
Mm-hmm.
Go check it out. I want you to go. I'll give you $1,000 to go protest for one day, and if you make it back alive, I'll hand you the $1,000.
Yeah.
We got a bet? Of course we don't.
I think it was it J.K. Rowling, the lady that wrote the Wizard freaking books, Harry Potter.
Yeah.
She offered him a plane ticket. Mm-hmm. Like, anyone that wants to go, I'll pay your one-way fare.
Not one person took it because they're not that stupid.
Yeah.
Like, it's all rhetoric. It's all hypocrisy for them.
Yep.
They need something to be extra about.
Yeah.
And this is their thing to be extra about.
Yeah.
And look, I get it. Like, every generation has had their thing, right? Like 70s, they had Vietnam. Mm-hmm. Our generation, it was really short-lived, but Occupy Wall Street, I think, was actually a really good thing.
Yeah.
It didn't accomplish shit, but I think, of all of the virtuous things to go protest, I thought that was probably one of the realest things to go do.
Yeah.
And I thought it was one of the most unifying things you could get people around.
Yeah.
Because it was really railing against like big business and big banks and all this other shit when the big businesses and banks were really screwing people over in 2007.
Yeah.
Like that was a shitty fucking time, and it was all created by those big banks.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you ever had a moment where it was like 99% for your cause, mm-hmm. and all you had to do was sit there with a sign and say "fuck Wall Street," shit, man. I mean, you could have gotten all types of people on your side.
Oh yeah.
But of course, the money got it blew that shit up real quick.
Yeah. And then the other neat thing that kind of spawned out of that was the whole Tea Party on the other side.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the Tea Party and the Occupy Wall Street crowd was considered, like one's the dirty liberals and the other one's the weird conservative guys. And they were kind of saying the same thing. One was the excesses of Wall Street, one was the excesses of government, which is all completely bought, sold, and paid for by Wall Street. And they were like pitted against one another when really they were kind of going after the same thing, just different sections of it.
Well, it's kind of like it is now, except you got your populist left and your populist right.
Yeah.
Except now, I think because the internet media has gotten so big, I think they're actually realizing part of that. Mm-hmm. The problem is there's no real organization behind it because the populist left wants the populist right to vote for a Democrat because they don't like Republicans, and the populist right wants the populist left to vote for Republicans because they don't trust Democrats.
Right.
And they're never going to agree, and they try to come together with libertarians, but libertarians are fuckboys.
Right.
So you can't get anywhere with any of them.
Yeah. And you still have a large section of the older generation that still watches corporate media, still watches, the mainstream news, reads the New York Times, all this, that still does that. And they vote a lot.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I feel like the Republicans always shoot themselves in the foot. And don't get me wrong, the Democrats do too. Like, it's like they get a little bit too comfortable. Mm-hmm. But because, like, for example, the Republicans in the House got rid of Kevin McCarthy as Speaker. They don't realize that everyone else outside of the base, you look like schmucks.
Yeah.
Right? I get it. Kevin McCarthy's a fucking stooge. I understand that. People kind of forgave that he was gone. They forgot the fuckery for a little while. Well, now that fucking clown, Marjorie Taylor Greene, tries to do it with the next guy.
Yeah, but the next guy just falling in lock, stock, and barrel with.
But the problem,
sending money to Ukraine and all this nonsense too. So,
but the problem is, it took him like 2 to 3 weeks just to get this guy in.
Yeah,
there's not enough cohesion on that side to nominate someone else. Mm-hmm. So, what, 6 months before a national fucking election, you're gonna make it look like you're all fucksticks?
Yeah,
because you can't get your shit together. Mm-hmm. Don't be fucking stupid. Like, it was just like that determination down in Alabama to ban all abortion regardless of anything. You had one job, and that was to not do a fucking thing, mm-hmm. and you could have won a national election. They don't realize, well, Republicans are going to win Alabama anyway. Yeah, you dumbass, but everyone else in the country is looking at you.
Yeah.
And they say, well, see, that's what Republicans are going to do. Now, any Republican nominee is going to take away reproductive rights. Mm-hmm. Because of what you fucking did.
Yeah.
Like, there's no common vision. Republicans have always been, they've always done that shit.
Yeah.
Like, well, we got an opportunity, we're going to take it. No, fuck Stain. If you were playing chess instead of checkers, you would see that maybe if you did this and didn't go to your extreme base for, like, the next 5 to 10 years, the other side's killing themselves.
Yeah.
Hand them the rope. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not trying to say anyone should commit suicide.
Yeah.
Mental health very important. Please, go to therapy and all that. Like, I do. I go to therapy. I'm not trying to say, metaphorically, give them a rope. That's all I'm saying. Like, but neither party can ever do that. Whenever it's their time to be crazy, they can't just let the other side be crazy. Mm-hmm. You got to out crazy them.
Right. Well, yeah, and the Democrats do the same thing.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
when they go like they get all with they go all in with the most left ideas and if you believe you're a puppy dog, you're a puppy dog, and if and they go after we're going to ban all guns, like, just leave them alone.
Right, and then they go put more gun laws in place.
Right.
You couldn't have just shut the fuck up.
Right.
Like, you could have just looked over there. Called them fucking crazy. We're not going to take your guns. No. Well, no, you did. You created more laws. Take more guns. You stupid ass.
Yeah.
You couldn't have waited 6 months until the election. Mm-hmm. None of them look at. I swear, none of them. I think politicians or these strategists, they must be the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet. Because none of them have real strategy. Mm-hmm. Like, I swear to God, if I was hiring and someone had on their resume political strategist, I'm not hiring you for anything. I'm not going to hire you to work at McDonald's because I can't trust that you're going to cook the fries and the burger and have it come out on time. You can't plan shit.
Right.
You don't know how to strategize your fucking way out of a cardboard box. Like, it baffles my mind that these are the people that run a country.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think they run anything.
No, they're useful idiots for the corporations. Let's call it what it is. Mm-hmm. Everyone's making money, and they throw peanuts at these people, which is more than the peanuts they had before. AOC's net worth is over $1 million. She had $75 to her name when she got elected.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yep.
On a what? $175,000 salary? Shocking. Now you got $1 million. Let that add up for a minute.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She's been in office, 4 years? She's probably after taxes, she's probably made $400,000. Mm-hmm. But it's got a net worth over a couple mil.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Nothing to see here.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, I mean, going back to I feel like they're taking advantage of these kids because the kids are vulnerable and they're being played upon. The problem is the kids are the ones that are out front. Like, I can't remember what school this girl went to. I think it was actually Harvard, to be honest with you. She was the spokesperson for the group. And she's out there just talking nonsense about the Palestinian issue and what the demands. First of all, who do you think you're demanding shit from?
Right.
Mommy and daddy are still paying your college bills.
Yeah.
Or you have loans out your ass, which, by the way, you're going to have to repay. You think you just, with your face splashed on there, you think you're doing any Harvard graduate any good? No, they see you, anyone now with Harvard, on their newly minted diploma. I'm a 2024 Harvard graduate. You want to know what? Fuck you. I ain't hiring you.
Right.
I don't, because look, you might not have been her, but you're her. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that line from Role Models. If you white, you Ben Affleck. If you got Harvard on your thing, you're that girl.
Yeah.
I'm not down with you because I'm not down with her. Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Your Harvard degree is now useless. They allow themselves to be manipulated. They allow themselves to be manipulated into taking action and being the face of some bullshit, and they're going to have to pay the consequences. Mm-hmm. The puppet master never will.
No. And then, this reminds me of something that's an extreme reaction the other way. So I'm not sure if you're aware of the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act that passed the Congress.
I heard it. Yeah. So now if you say anything anti-Semitic, it's fucking illegal.
Right. Accusing Jews as a people of being responsible for real or imagined wrongdoing committed by a single Jewish person or group, and making dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews as such, or the power of Jews as a collective. So, are saying those things wrong and make you look like an asshole and an idiot? Yes. Should it be illegal? Should it be criminal?
No.
And I can't see how how that could survive any sort of judicial review.
There's no shot it can.
Yeah, but the fact that it passed, broadly supported, so it's like,
if nothing gets put through without a lobby group.
Yeah.
If a Jewish lobby group pushed that through, again, you're literally playing checkers. This was not the time. To be honest, it's never going to hold up. That's another. All these brilliant people, that will never hold up as long as the First Amendment is around.
Right.
And if you're Democrats, you're literally trying to say that the guy the current president is running against is going to abolish free speech. Meanwhile, in the last 4 years, you've created the Bureau of Disinformation, a.k.a. the Ministry of Truth.
Yeah.
And you now passed an anti-Semitic law against speech.
Right.
You are literally the censorship everyone's worried about with the First Amendment.
Yeah. And the Canadian government,
they've already done this shit.
They just passed a law about hate speech that allows them to go back in time and prosecute people for things they posted or said or from before the law was on the books. So Canada has some really weird laws. Really extreme, so they criminalize.
You know Jordan Peterson's thing, right?
Yeah.
So it was a law that you had to refer to people by their pronouns. Mm-hmm. And he refused. Or by their chosen pronouns.
Yeah.
He refused. And I think they took all of his assets, because they do civil asset forfeiture there for anything. And I believe he went on trial for it because he didn't use someone's preferred pronouns.
Mm-hmm. And they did the same thing with the truckers. Mm-hmm. They said that they were lumped in under some, it fell under some sort of terrorism law that they had where they were able to freeze and take their assets. And anyone who supported them. So if you donated money to their trucker cause, then they could also go and take yours.
Yep.
As well.
That was wild to me.
And I'm thinking to myself, how can any, of the great liberal Western democracies support any of this? Yet here we are going down this path. And look, do people who espouse this sort of nonsense about great Jewish conspiracies, are they assholes? Sure. Are they morons? Absolutely. But they have a right to say it. That's one of the fundamental pillars upon which this country's built, and here they are eroding it. And it says because it's in a direct response to what's going on these campuses because Jewish students don't feel safe. Well, have you seen these limp-wristed, pasty
Well,
People who are protesting, like they're not going to like hurt anybody.
to me, there's a difference. All right. There's the speech issue, and then there's the feeling safe issue. Mm-hmm. We'll get to the speech issue in a minute. The feeling safe issue, I mean, these fucking kids are violent. This is not peaceful protest. This is like, it reminds me of 2020. Mostly peaceful, right?
Mostly peaceful but fiery?
Yes. Except this is less fire and more violence.
Yeah.
Okay? But going back to the free speech part, I'm literally someone who's married to a Jewish woman and raising 2 Jewish kids. Mm-hmm. Okay? I don't like it when people say anti-Semitic shit. I don't like it when people say anti-Israeli shit. I don't like any of it. I don't like any of it. However, I am more than okay with everyone's right to say it.
Yeah.
Like, it's really weird. And part of it is this. The people that write these laws, I think they think, look, there's a lot of people are easily influenced. And I'm going to use a great example. There's a kid online, makes videos. He's very pro-white, although when I say his last name, you're going to laugh. Pro-white people. Heavy on the Jewish conspiracy theories. That they run he's one of those they run everything people, yeah. Right? Kid's name is Nick Fuentes.
Oh, yeah.
Most people have heard of this kid. Mm-hmm.
That's like Kanye's boy.
Sure, yeah. Yeah. But the weird thing to me is, this kid is in his early 20s. Never had a job, never went to school. I think he's Canadian. Not sure, but I think he is. Even if he's not, doesn't matter, right? There's really no bearing on anything. When I was 23, I thought I knew everything. Now that I'm 43, or 44, I realize I didn't know my elbow from my asshole. The thing that baffles my mind is, you have people in their 30s and 40s who are dying for something to cling on to that doesn't hate them. Mm-hmm. That they're willing to latch onto this early 20s kid just because he's saying some nice things about white people and bad things about other people. And this goes back to something that we said a while back. If you're ever pro too much of one thing, and while you're being pro something, you're anti something else, you're pushing away and probably making those people more racist. And they're going to flock to whatever isn't racist against them. Mm-hmm. So, for example, for a while there, everything was black excellence, and everything else was white supremacy. White supremacy. It was domestic terrorism was that was like the new national priority was domestic national terrorists. Yeah, AKA white supremacy, right? Yeah. White supremacists.
And they lumped that in with Christian nationalists, and then they lumped veterans in with them.
And then they lumped in the moms at the PTO.
Yep.
Per the DOJ. And one of the things, and we said this a while back, we said all you're doing is creating more racists. People that never gave it a thought mm-hmm. are hearing this over and over again. And they keep thinking, so, well, I didn't own any slaves, and I don't hate black people. But black people apparently hate me.
Yeah.
So I now hate them. Because I keep hearing black people say the white people are the worst, and white people this, and white people... Well, guess what you fucking did? You created Nick Fuentes.
Yeah.
This is a guy who normally would have not gotten any run on YouTube, and he wasn't until 2020.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden people find his content because the kid knows how to manipulate YouTube. Mm-hmm. Like, why do you think Mr. Beast gets so many views? How do you think he rose? Because he knew how to create a thumbnail, and he knew what words to put in the title.
Yeah.
Well, this fucking kid knows the same thing. Like, there are people out there who know how to manipulate these algorithms to get clicks.
Yeah.
He now knows how to do that. And you just drove people to it, because then they started searching the words that he was putting in his videos. You're creating the monster against you.
Yeah.
Because you went too far in one direction. Like you were just letting people say outlandish fucking shit. Like there was and people could say, "Oh, well, I'm not affected." I wouldn't believe it. I'm not me. And they either go over the top to show other people that they're not like that.
Yeah.
Hence, now you got you literally had the white liberal women at the BLM rallies. Guess what? You weren't going to get accepted. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Just like that. But it's just like they tell black people who vote Republican.
Yeah.
You'll never be one of them.
Right.
It's like, fuck, man. It's like these professional agitators, and this goes back to those people getting arrested. These are the ones that get caught and let go real quick because they got big money behind them. And there's generally some white... it's generally a white kid from a trust fund. Mommy and daddy are going to bail him out. They're not going to let him go sit in jail. They're protesting because, I'm having fun with my friends. Go have fun, honey. Go have fun. Yeah. It'll be fun. Meanwhile, they're doing this shit. And they got the professors at the schools pushing this shit. The kids go along with it. And then they sprinkle in the professional agitators. Hey, you want to know what you should do? You should really put a mask on. Pull that, wear the keffiyeh. Put it. The reason why you're going to wear it, though, is because you're going to pull it up over your face. So that way you never get caught on video. Mm-hmm. Right? But you always want, we're going to put bear spray on your tool. You're going to wear this tool belt. And the tool belt's going to have pepper spray and bear spray. And you're going to have 3 bottles of water. Because when the police hit you with the bear spray or the pepper spray, you need to pour it in your eyes and get it out real quick.
And the umbrellas. And
the umbrella.
Yeah.
And if you don't think this is true, and again, this is a feelings over facts podcast. We get that. But 100% that's what they do. They go in there and they teach these kids how to agitate. Mm-hmm. Not protest. Agitate.
Yeah.
Because they feel that agitation is the only way to get change. Right? The problem is that the United States is never going to divest from Israel. Never.
Right.
There's too much money there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the U.S. is never going to divest from Ukraine from now on. Because there's too much money there. Now. In fact, it's better in Ukraine than it is in Israel. Want to know why? Because the money can disappear real quick in Ukraine. Mm-hmm. There's no checks and balances over there.
Right.
Zero. There's no international banking there. I mean, there's international banking, but no one's looking at it.
No.
You can move money over there like this. Meanwhile, I'm going to get audited if I have over $600 in PayPal expenses.
Yeah.
That's the difference. You can move multi-millions in Ukraine. I can't move $600 from my fucking PayPal without getting a 1099.
Yeah.
Think about that. These guys think in billions. They don't think in hundreds.
No.
They want you to think in hundreds, which is why your PayPal is getting a 1099K for $600 in transactions.
Yeah. And we keep voting for them. We keep voting for the same establishment scumbags that keep doing this.
In the best way, I don't even think you don't even need a third party. Although I think RFK Jr. is going to really do something in this election. I don't know which way it's going to swing, but even he's somewhat of an insider. He's a rich motherfucker.
He's like Kennedy, for crying out loud.
Although they all hate him.
Yeah.
We've talked about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll be interested to see what happens, but unfortunately, these kids are pawns, and they're the ones that are going to pay the price for it on these college campuses. Before we talk about the bourbon we've been drinking, or whiskey, you let me know. You got anything more about this topic?
Nope. It's bourbon.
It is bourbon.
Yes, it's bourbon at the bottom.
Okay, so this is the highest proof one we've ever had.
It's good.
It is 108 proof. Or was it 108 and a half? I don't want to shortchange it.
Yeah, 108.5.
Okay. I normally don't like the high test stuff. This was incredibly easy to drink, though.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I got it on ice, so I've got it proofed down a little bit. Don't get me wrong.
I drank it neat like I always do, and I've had some lower proofs that have that kick a little bit harder than this. You know, this is really good.
It didn't. So I was surprised. It didn't stay with me as long as I thought it would, being that high a test.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't sting. It didn't tingle the lips for as long. Mm-hmm. I thought it was. I'm like, all my feelings about it. It tasted good.
Yeah.
This is one of the ones that's like it's on the back of my tongue. I'm like, this is nice. Like, I wish I wish it lasted a little bit longer, to be honest with you. I didn't think it was too hot, and look, that's 108 proof, man.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm usually in the 90 range, right?
Yeah.
And this is almost 20 proof ahead.
This is high test.
I like it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to be dead honest. So every once in a while, I mention this YouTube show called The Bourbon Junkies. And they did a test of single barrels. And this was one of them. Now, obviously the barrel's going to be different, right? But I was like, God, let me go check it out. Now, it's a $60 bottle. It's not in our usual cheap range. It's not in our $20, $25 range that we usually go with. However, I like it. I think this is better than the Bibb and Tucker, to be honest. But I don't remember. We might have to do a head-to-head with this.
Yeah.
This and the Bibb and Tucker one night.
Yeah, but no, this is definitely... And it's funny because I've seen this a bunch of times and I never buy it. Because it's on the higher end of scale of prices. Like, what is it, 50?
57,
yeah.
I think, yeah. 60 with tax.
Yeah. And, you know, I more reside down in the, you know, $30, $40 range. But,
Me too.
This, though, is really good. Like, it's you know, I've seen it. And another thing, like, I like the more, like, squat, fat bottles. This looks more like a wine bottle.
It does, yeah.
And for whatever reason, I kind of steer away from wine bottle looking. But it's good. I recommend it.
So the funny part, it's flanked by two Old Forester bottles. Now, the two Old Forester, it's Old Forester 86 and Old Forester 100. And in an upcoming episode, we're going to put them head to head. Those are $25 bottles. Are they that much worse than that $60 bottle? I don't know. Different, maybe worse. I don't know if it's worse, but like, if you're gonna have a $60 bottle on hand, I like that one. And I don't think we've said the name yet. It's New Riff, single barrel. And I don't think I think that's it. I think it's New Riff single barrel.
Yeah, it's
108.5 proof.
Yeah, let's see here.
It's going to be, generally in your area, it'll be a store pick. So ours was our local store pick.
Yeah, so this one says distilled in January of 2019, bottled in March of 2023. So it
4 years old.
Aged 4 years, and then the aroma is caramel lemon zest, which I think I don't smell any of that shit.
Smell alcohol.
Yeah. Palate is chocolate, brown sugar, and orange. I can see the chocolate and brown sugar or orange. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I did get a sweet taste on the back of my tongue.
At least it doesn't say, like, you know, musty taint.
Right.
So.
Right. It smells like essence of pussy.
Yeah, right. But yeah, Newport, Kentucky. So if you see it, grab it. It's worth it.
I've seen a lot. It's definitely not one that's hard to get either. I've seen it in multiple stores.
No, it's not a unicorn.
No.
So
just a little on the higher end. Like I said, if you're in the market for something that's higher end, like I said, they gave it such high review, like such high praise. I was like, all right. Now, generally, my palate isn't like their palate because they like the higher test stuff.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? I gotta try some. I want to go back a little bit higher proof. I want to just try it out. I mean, shit, man. Like, for 108 and a half, there's no shot I would have said that was 108 and a half. I'd say it was probably, I would have said like 98, 99.
Yeah,
like
higher
90 to
end, but
100.
not over 100.
No, hell no. It was really smooth. So New Riff Single Barrel was the one we tried tonight. We were drinking it throughout. But I wanted to save it to the end just because, like, after I took a sip, like, I think my first reaction was, holy shit. Like,
yeah.
I was kind of like, all right. This is not burn a hole in my chest. This is kind of nice. Anything else?
Mm-mm.
All right. Thanks to Adam Chubbuck with Douglas Realty, techmd.com. Shoot Adam a phone call, an email. Let him know you're interested in the services. Let him give you the personal and professional treatment that you need in this kind of a market. Still not too many houses up for sale. Interest rates are high, although Adam has some loan officers at his disposal that he can hook you up with, so you'll at least be able to shop for your best rate. And just let him get you either into the house that is the best deal for you, or let him sell your home and get the highest dollar amount he can. Like, subscribe, comment, share. We'll see you next time.